Hi guys, I'm your girl Melly. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you want some travel, lifestyle, fashion, everything content. Yeah, that's what we do here. We just do everything. But lately I've been posting about my travel. And so I wanted to tell you all about like the first time that I traveled. And this is not like the trips that I took with my family, because I did go to Mexico when I was young, and we would go to California too. But my very first trip abroad was to Korea. I went to South Korea as a exchange student, kind of. Um, so my county was doing an exchange program with students of Gunpo, South Korea. And I remember hearing these girls in my grade, talk about that they had gone. And so I asked them about it. Well, one of the girls, and she kind of didn't want to tell me like anything. People, they don't want you to do things that they do. And she kind of gave me an idea. She just said, oh, like, I read it, I don't know, the school had posted it somewhere. So what I did, I kind of figured out that it was in the bulletin. So every single day since the start of the semester, I guess the start of the year, but since the start of the year, they would bring like this bulletin to every classroom. And so I would read it. I'm like, okay, if it's in here, I'm going to see it, right? And so every day I would read it, and I'm like, okay, nothing, because that's all I got from her. I didn't get the name of the program. I didn't get who's in charge. I didn't get like anything. She's just like, oh yeah, I read it somewhere. So I kept reading this bulletin, and finally, like one day, I saw that it said, I can't even remember what it said, but it said something about this exchange program and applying. So I went and I applied, and they called me for an interview. And I don't even know how I got to the interview. Maybe I drove myself. But because I don't even know that I told my parents like until I was actually going. So I go to this interview, and they, talk to you, and they're picking students from like the whole county. So, there's all these students from, oh, sorry, I have something. So they're picking students from all these different counties, and so they interview, I guess, to see like if you're the right fit for the program. So I got chosen from my school. I was the only one. I don't know if other people applied, because I don't think people really paid attention to the bulletin, but I did. And so what I usually did, but this time around, I was like very adamant, like I gotta check that thing every day, because this program was free. So they interview you, they accept you, and then I think we had like some classes, very few, but just to talk about like the culture, and make sure that when you go over there, you're safe and you don't disrespect anybody, and all that like good stuff. Then finally, and I don't know, like my parents didn't really like ask me any questions about it. I've always been the wild child, so I think they kind of expected it from me. But my mom, I don't think she met the lady that was like running the program until the day like we were meeting up for me to go to the airport, which is actually really unsafe. But that's how it was. So we go to the airport. I don't know, it was a lot of hours. Like, I think it was like 16 hours total or something. I don't know. I've never actually looked, but it just seemed like forever. So we flew to Japan. Then from Japan, it was only like an hour, I think, to Gunpo. I think we flew into Seoul, and then we traveled to Gunpo. The girl that I was saying, her name was Yu Young, and so we were gonna stay there for 2 weeks, and then like a couple weeks later, they would come over to the U.S. and stay with us for 2 weeks. This is actually pretty crazy now that I think about it. Like I didn't think about it back then. I was just like, dude, like this is an opportunity to go see the world, see somewhere else. And the fact that it was free, like that was pretty amazing. All I had to pay for was my passport, and then like my spending money, and I had like a little side job. So that's where I saved my money to go. I don't really remember like getting there. Well, actually I do. I do remember that it was very green, like everybody lives like in apartments. It was just like very compacted. That's what I remember. But yeah, a lot of trees and stuff like that. And I imagine that one of the reasons they do that is just they go up, people buy their like apartment houses. And so maybe not to like get into like the greenery and stuff. I don't know, that was my thought. I don't remember like meeting the like Yu Young, the person that I was staying with, and her family. But they were really great. They're really nice. I actually still have her sister like on Instagram and stuff. I guess I didn't have back then because I probably didn't have Instagram. But like now I have her on Instagram. So that's pretty neat. So they were really great to me. But I don't remember like that initial meetup. I'm sure it was awkward because you're staying at somebody else's house way across the world. But the things that I remember, and I think these are, I don't know, things that I'm just like, were so awesome that kind of, you know, grew that love for travel for me. And if you ever go to South Korea, I'm pretty sure these things are still a thing. So I would recommend checking them out. The first one is the Boryeong Mud Festival, and I'm not sure that's how you say, and I'm probably chopping it, but I will include it in the description. So if you're interested, you can look it up. I went in July, I think. So if you're curious about it, you can probably look into that timeline. And I'm not sure if it was right in Gunpo. I think it was like one of the outside cities. But anyways, this festival is the mud festival, so it is kind of what you think. It's all about mud, and what they had were these giant slides, you know, the big slides that you are inflatable and they have water. These were actually just like all mud stuff. Everything had mud. We went into a jail cell, and pretty much they had buckets that they just threw at you. So in the end, like all you could really see like were your eyes. If I find that picture, I'll include it, because it's like one of my favorite like memories. It was something so simple, but it was just funny. I didn't go into the slides. I did do this one thing that, like, I don't know, I think you like run and you're like tied. I don't know. The big thing that I remember is that I ran and then I fell, and there was actually rocks in there, and like I scraped my whole like shin. Like it actually hurt, but you know, you couldn't really do anything about it. So there was that. And the other part that I remember, something to keep in mind, you know, just different cultures, is that there was a lot of naked people in the showers. Like that's not something that we're accustomed to here in the US, you know. So there was a lot of, you know, people just naked, walking around, showering, because all the showers were open, you know, so you could see everybody. So that was interesting, unexpected. And it wasn't even like that bad, but why it's so memorable is because later on we were talking to the guys, you know, that were part of the US group, and they're like, all they said, they're like, yeah, like we were not expecting that, and it was just very hairy everywhere. And that's because there's people from all around the world, but let's say, how do I say this? In some areas, people are hairier, you know, and guys have like hair on their back, like, and so, yeah, it was a lot. It was pretty funny though. The other thing that I really liked was this underground mall, and I'm not sure what it's called, but like pretty much you go into kind of like, it looks like a subway entrance. I think that's what I remember. Something like that, but you go under, and there's this huge mall. And at that time, I feel like things were a little bit cheaper, but I'm not sure right now how the US dollar converts over there. But they had this huge mall under the street, I guess. And so, or I don't know if there was a street or a plaza. I don't remember that part, but it was pretty cool. Even if you're not like a huge shopper, you're not looking to buy anything, I would recommend, you know, going in there, just checking it out. And I'll try to find the name of it too and include it in the description. The other things that we got to do, and I'm not sure if this is like open to like everybody, but we took a, what's it called? But we took a tour of this like really big noodle place. So you got to see how the noodles were made. And I can't remember what brand it was, but it was like a pretty big brand over here. But it was pretty cool, you know, seeing the noodles being made. And then we got this huge box of like all these different samples and like products from the company, which is pretty awesome. I packed them all in my suitcase and I brought them back because I'm like, I'm not leaving them here. But it was just, that was a neat experience, especially because the brand was a big one, and like I said, I can't remember which one it was, but it was cool. We also got to do some tours, and those I don't remember quite well, but they were like some villages and just like history and things like that. Another thing that I really liked we went on a hike. And well, there's one thing that I didn't like about it, that this was like one of our first things that we were doing. And we had a normal bathroom in the place that I was staying and all the bathrooms that I had seen. But in Korea, and I'm not sure if this is like as common now, but the bathrooms were just the hole on the floor. So we go on this hike, and I'm like, obviously, I need to go to the bathroom, and I was just really surprised because you have to squat to go to the bathroom. But yeah, it's just a hole. So that was a little bit shocking for 16-year-old me, because I had not seen that. I mean, not that I hadn't squatted somewhere and need to go pee, but this was just a little bit different. But anyways, this hike was really cool because at the very top of the hike there was a natural spring. The special thing about this hike was that it was part of a tale. The tale was that at the very top there was like a fountain of youth. There was this lady who really wanted a baby, but her husband was too old, and so they're like, oh, we're gonna go to this spring. He's gonna drink from it, be a little bit younger, to be able to take care of the baby and all of that. And what happens is that her husband ends up drinking too much, and he ends up turning into a baby. So in the end, she still got her baby, but in a weird way. But yeah, so we went to the top and we got to drink from the spring, and so it was just kind of like something cool, something memorable, because of just the tale that went along with it. And I'm not sure, again, in my defense, this has been a really long time, so I'm going to try to find, the details in the description, just because it was a pretty, nice hike, and two, you have that little bit of, I don't know, history, I guess, with the tale, so I thought that was pretty neat, and something to check out, especially if you're a hiker, and want to get some views. Those are some of the most memorable things from my trip to South Korea. Oh, actually, one thing that I really liked was this rice thing. It was like rice covered, fully covered in like a very thin, fried egg. I don't know how they did it, but it was pretty cool, and I remember it was delicious. The other thing that I recommend is trying some bulgogi. That was kind of like my go-to. But yeah, that's kind of like the most memorable things that I have from my trip. But it really, like I said at the beginning, it really inspired me to keep exploring, and I still have that want to see the world. So hopefully if you've subscribed to my channel, you can come along with me. And if you have any questions about any of my trips, or any insight that you want to know, please let me know in the comments and I will get back to you. Thank you all for watching. I will see you in the next one.